Look here. If you know me, you know that I love anything journaling. So, of course, I'm going to offer my own products. And I have a cute line of notebooks. They're just line notebooks, and you can use them for like brain dump, forgiveness journal, grateful journal is a good one. And yeah, it just like little sloth and butterflies. And I also have some journals and planners. You can find them at lifewithfrancy.com/shop. Hello, welcome to Life with Francie podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a place where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. Today's episode was thanks to Podmatch, an amazing community for podcast hosts and podcast guests to make amazing collaborations like this one. Podmatch offers a lot of tools and resources for anybody in the podcasting world. You can find the link in the description of the episode. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to talk to Kristof Morrow, and he is a veteran author and journalist from Texas, living with Tourette's in Vancouver. Growing up, he was the third born, but the first one to graduate high school. He taught himself how to write, serving in the U.S. Navy, and I just can't wait to start the conversation with him because he had a lot more on his description, but I was like, I didn't want to say everything in the description. So, welcome, Kristof, to the show. Tell us, what is life with you?
Shakespeare. Well, it's ruled a lot by a great affection for words and for people and for helping people understand one another. Shakespeare and my Tourette's, which was determines like the like the outcome of my day. Sometimes it's quite Shakespeare. It can be pretty distracting.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Shakespeare. Shakespeare. I grew up in South Texas. And it wasn't a super great childhood. That's generally yeah. And my my parents struggle with addiction, and my father was really abusive, physically, verbally, all the different kinds. Um, and after high school, I joined the U.S. Navy, and like you said, I taught myself to write. I became I wrote for a little while. I won some awards for fiction and for poetry at two different colleges I went to, and I won some awards for journalism. And when I was working as a journalist there in photography, and then Shakespeare. And Now, actually, today is really quite special. I It's the day a year ago today I published my first book. Uh,
Wow.
and It's already considered a work of literature, actually.
Nice.
I found out that my work is recommended reading in classes studying Victorian literature like Charles Dickens, which is an extraordinary feat for someone who literally had zero readers a year ago. Zero, quite literally zero. So that's yeah, that's my whole
That's
life.
amazing. So
Mhm.
yeah, how did the book come about?
Shakespeare. Well, it's well, it's a little tragic actually, but it came out to something rather propitious. I became when I Shakespeare for 5 years after I was diagnosed with Tourette's. I didn't write at all. I had been working as a journalist, and when I moved up to Canada, I stopped writing. And Shakespeare. I was told after trying to find work that would accommodate my condition, Shakespeare. The government uh, brought me together with a work counselor in British Columbia, and they, based on my criteria, they weren't able to find me any work actually, and they told me Shakespeare. They told me that I still remember her name. Her name is Erin. She said, "Well, you used to write, and you said you love that, so maybe you should do that." And so I really had no other choice between that between writing and contributing nothing at all this is what I felt was contributing nothing at all to society, which is not, of course, true for people with disabilities. But in my case, I felt that way. And Shakespeare, about 10 minutes after that phone call, hanging up with her, I started writing my book, and I haven't stopped. Yeah, Shakespeare.
That's awesome. So yes, how is life with living with a disability?
Shakespeare, Shakespeare. Well, everybody, the nuance of everyone who has a disability um, is is unique to every single person. So Shakespeare. For me, I Shakespeare. I injure myself a lot. My
Mm,
Tourette's manifested in a way that's which is exceedingly rare. On top of having traditional Tourette's where I yell curse words and sometimes that only 10% of people with Tourette's apparently do that. But I do. I'm one of those. I'm of that 10%. Um, I hurt myself because of like the amount of abuse I received makes it like pathological. I have to like whenever I feel shame, I hit myself like in the face or I gouge my eyes out like or I punch myself in the throat or like I had to I can't really use my right thumb for too much anymore. Like last night I went to a convenience store to and I was buying a 2 liter of diet Pepsi and
mhm.
I couldn't get it out because I only have one thumb and it was too stiffly it was anyway like even stuff like that I can't like turning the volume down on my phone even it can be it can be hard to do because so there's so much about like living with Tourette's like in fact like whenever I move into like an apartment building or like right now I'm in a hotel finishing my work for this month to get away from where I was living where they were doing a lot of construction and stuff so it was really cumbersome on my ability to work so I'm in a hotel and I had to tell them at the front desk like I have Tourette's just so you know so if someone says like there's someone screaming in the room like someone's getting
Mm.
tortured that's just me and they're like wait hold on wait what do you have it's like
Yeah.
I have Tourette's and I have to explain it because uh, they'll call the cops and that's like a large part of why I moved away from Shakespeare why I moved away from the United States was like I startle people um, a lot of people have access to guns in the US and
Mhm.
especially I mean most especially cops and so it's a concern like for me to startle people the way I do Shakespeare so it rules a lot it dictates a great deal of my life and even going my cats can you hear her snoring she snores
No.
very loud it's unbelievable it's unbelievable it's ridiculous sparkles
I
sparkles
love her name.
sparkles yeah she's about 20 years old she's very elderly she's something else anyway so like going to a restaurant is like a whole thing for me even attending a movie or a play anything like that is something that I have to like more thoughtfully consider
Mhm.
because depending on how bad my Tourette's is that day Shakespeare
How do you keep a positive energy through it all?
well the thing is that it's the Tourette's is like it's the theft of agency in many senses. So I don't have much control over my body really. I do, and but its caprice is like is really wounding to my self-worth. So like I'm not able to like determine my own uh, every day, every moment. And so writing the way Shakespeare, I write epic fantasy And so I the world that I have invented, I have total control over. And so my brain, I think, is at least is sated in that sense, like that sense of control is offered some uh, is offered some to me in that sense. So yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
Okay. And you use your story to help others?
Shakespeare. Yeah, like absolutely. Not just my, of course, Tourette's, but every kind of circumstance, like neglect. My book right now, the book that I've written, just is an allegory for the way that financial inequality between the generations right now. So like ours, there's a in the book there's a literal paradise where these people who have been living for thousands of years, when they retire their mortal forms, they grow back into a from a seed that they choose into like a plant or a tree or whatever, and they live for several thousands of more years in that form. And there's people that can live amongst them that they choose that they're able to sort of choose to live with. And so it's a bit like the way that it is now, where you have like baby boomers like living, like they're able to afford homes and second homes and third homes that they rent out, and they're landlords, and like they have vacation homes, and as we're getting people are living longer, and health insurance and health is becoming more uncertain for many people. uh these generations, that generation is spending an extraordinary amount of money on their own healthcare, and like, not I know that a lot of people are like just gonna leave nothing to their children because they're spending everything on living in like, and given like the personality of their upbringing and the kind of media they were exposed to, that kind of I don't want to say selfishness, but it's and a kind of aggressive indifference, because they didn't really suffer the way that their parents did, and that generations like ours do. Like, so they're the greatest generation, fought in the Second World War and defended the notions of liberty and was really beholden to one another, into like establishing a society that was more egalitarian, and well, at least attempted to. Um, I think, but nowadays it's like, I mean, the actual embrace of fascism and by that generation really horrifies me. Um, and uh, and it's a kind of like, I remember hearing I call it my ex-wife, I call her my old friend, her her aunt was saying, she worked full time, and she was able to, she didn't leave school with any debt. I was like, wait a minute, because about an hour or so before, we were having a conversation, and she was saying how she and her first husband bought a house at the age of 21. And I was like, wait. So you were able to not only pay for all your living expenses, you were able to pay for all of your college and afford to get a mortgage all at the same time. You did all of that at once, because none of that is possible in our generation. Like, we're barely doing one of those things, which is surviving right now. Like, most people that I know are talking about how, like, what, like, they say, like, don't spend money on coffee. And it's like that, like, what, even if you spent $180 a month, that's like, what, that's nothing. You're not saving anything. You're still not
Mm-hmm.
saving enough money to like, in fact, I saw a thing today, this morning. It said there was a house in 1996 that was $105,000, and that same home now is worth over $400,000. And it said in his teacher salary in that area in 1996 was $65,000. Do you want to know what it is now?
Wow. What
You want
is
to know what
it?
it is now? 69,000.
Yeah.
It's gone up $4,000. in like 27 years, 28 years.
Yeah.
That is, I have, it's absurd. Or 18 years. Sorry, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's really quite, it's something that really, so it was something that I really wanted to focus on in my work, was to describe that phenomena, that sort of dynamic between, because on the outside, there is this paradise, of course, where this is happening, but the outside world, everyone else is living in a sort of, if you've seen Game of Thrones, it's similar to that, um, in terms of everything, in terms of violence. Like it's really, um, the scales of the conflicts is enormous, and the suffering is in kind shares in that. It's awful, and there's famine, there's disease, there's climate changes in the book. Actually, it's a large focus. I try to describe like complex natural systems and stuff, because these are all things that we're all contending with, and I think it truly haunts our generation. Like the notion that like retirement is just going to be impossible. Um, it's not like it is now, like where you see people still, like, look at the political, like who's running for president. We have two people that are like in their 80s or something. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's so everyone is so old, and you call it a gerontocracy or something like that. And yeah, yeah, it yeah, it's terrifying. Like I don't know when we're going to get to take the wheel, and that's just that's kind of what I hoped to describe, is a world that in which that, you know those kind of failures are occurring, all of them at once, and what that would look like.
And talking about retirement, is Canada like different than from the United States? Because like, yeah, you were mentioning about the changes, and they're talking about like 80s now, close to 80 to change the retirement age. Is that a
Mhm.
thing like in Canada?
No, as far as I know, actually, I don't know. I'm Shakespeare. I'm from originally from America, and I grew up, like, I've only been living here the last few years, but in Canada, as far as I know, it's around 65, maybe
See?
60, maybe something a little higher. I know that France had that huge protest because they were trying to move up the retirement age a couple of years, and it was a massive, very admirable protest towards that. I don't know if they were successful or not, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's like me, I've been working for the post office for 17 years, and I'm like, "Oh my God, there's no way that I can put another 25 to 35 years
Wow.
with such a hard labor." Like I told you
Hmm.
before we started the interview, I've been working 6 days by the time the interview has been recorded. And mentally, physically, emotionally, that's not right to
Hmm.
work that many hours and still
Hmm.
have to take care of your family
Hmm.
and things like that. And people are like, "How do you do this?" But it's all
Hmm.
about being intentional with your time and
That's.
perspective too of life. Because
Hmm.
yeah, my coworkers are not having a good time. For me, I'm just like, I'm punting my dreams.
Yeah.
So it's like the easiest, hardest way to get
Hmm.
money right now. So I go to work, do my thing, in hopes that I can work my stuff on the side, and hopefully it will pick up sooner or later, so I don't have to retire and I will have to resign and just
Yeah.
leave sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Just like, Shakespeare, the 40-hour work week was designed whenever there was the assumption that uh, traditionally the wife would be staying home and
Hmm.
doing all of everything that needed to be done there, which is an extraordinary amount of work, of course. And So we're working 40 hours. Everybody's now still working 40 hours a week, and yet we've completely lost that assistance, like that very necessary part of keeping the home. And like we should all be working fewer hours. We should, very strong reaction. See,
Yeah, see,
I'm with
I'm
you.
allergic to it.
You're allergic to the notion. You're like, oh my God.
Oh, that
Yeah,
is funny.
it's yeah. So there's so many things that even the school system that we have, like the way that the schools are designed. I think it was literally the schools were designed by a guy who designed prisons, and
I just heard about that.
yeah, and the fact, I mean, there's so many qualities to our education uh, that really don't facilitate like it being very effective on a scale that we need it to be, you know. Hmm.
Is there anything else that you would like my listeners to know about you?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I guess you could, I mean, you find everything on kristofmorrow.com. So that's but my whole mission as a writer is to help people understand one another. And so while I'm talking about boomers and everything, and I don't really, the onus is not necessarily on them. It's not, we are all victims of our circumstance in many senses. And so I feel that I'm fair uh, in my work and in talking. So that's really it. Yeah. I try to be.
Is this year I started. Sometimes I ask and sometimes I forget, but today I remember. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful most of all for friendship. Uh, my work has brought me a great deal of that, and in surplus. I love it. My friends Rosa and Mariah, and my friend D'Artagnan. We call him D'Artagnan. He's our fourth musketeer.
I love
His
it.
name is Dan. Yeah, we're all very close, and yeah. So friendship is really, and it's a very healing thing. I did not know
Hmm.
that it could be, but you really finding your people is imperative.
You have to. I've been working on mine for about 6 years, and it has been pretty steady. Where they're family now,
Hmm.
and it's like it's so awesome because I have three blood families. And let's just say they can stay over there and I stay over here and everybody
Yeah,
lives happily ever after.
yeah. I don't have any. Yeah, yeah.
But the family that I have created within my friends, it's so amazing to have people that you can trust that
Hmm.
build you as you build them. You love them and they love you. And there's no drama because you chose those people.
Hmm.
So it's amazing. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hmm. Thank you very much, Francie. That was really kind of you.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Life with Francy podcast. You can find it in all major platforms for podcasts as well as my YouTube channel. You know the drill. Like and subscribe. Help this girl out. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye bye.